Hello, in this video we're looking at Bodhicaryavatara, chapter 6, verse 25. Chapter 6, that's the Kshanti Paramita. As usual, I'll read it first without the text up, then call up the text. Ye chid aparadhascha papani vividhani cha sarvantat pratyaya balat swatantrantu navidyate. I muffed that up. Swatantrantu navidyate. And again with the text up, here we are. Ye chid aparadhascha papani vibidhani cha sarvantat pratyaya balat swatantrantu navidyate. So ye chid, kashchit means masculine singular, kahu, kashchit, somebody. In the plural, kashchit would become kechit. That would mean some people, certain people. When you put the relative pronoun in front of it, ye kechit, that means whoever. And for example, for whatever, I mean anything at all, whatever you do, it will be yang kinchi. And in the plural, masculine plural, ye kechit. So I put whatever, in fact, here. So here it's whatever as a masculine because it refers to aparadha, meaning an offense. More specifically, a wrong that you do to someone. So ye kechid aparadha means whatever offenses, whatever wrongs. Papani vividhani cha, and various sins or misdeeds or evils. Notice that ye kechit here is in the masculine plural to agree with aparadha. Masculine plural. Vividhani is in the neuter plural to agree with papani, singular papam, a neuter word. Both ye kechid and vividhani can refer to aparadhascha papanicha. What happens is that typically where you get an adjective or something that requires to behave like an adjective, which ye kechid is, whatever, it will, and it refers to whatever various types of things, and they are of different genders, or different numbers even. What you will tend to find is that the adjective will agree with the nearest one in the list. That's why ye kechid paradhasha, masculine plural, but papani, neuter plural, so the final adjective, vividhani, various of different kinds, can refer to both the aparadha and the papani, but it will go in the neuter plural because that's the nearest one to it. Remember, this rule in Sanskrit is different, for example, from the rule in the Romance languages. I mean, the ones I can speak of are the Italian, French, and Spanish, where if you have an adjective qualifying several nouns, and those nouns are not all of the same gender, if at least one of them is masculine, even all the rest are feminine, the adjective will go in the masculine plural. So see that it's not like that here. The adjective will agree with the nearest in the list. I don't know, I can't say off the top of my head whether that's an absolute rule, but it's certainly common practice, and that's how you'll normally see it. So this first line could be construed as ye kechid aparadhascha. Ye kechid could apply only to the aparadha, the offences, and the vividhani could apply only to the papani, it could, but equally, under the rules of grammar, both of them, ye kechid and vividhani, can apply to both aparadha and papani. Now this aparadha I've done a note down here, the rad, of which the basic meaning is to succeed or to achieve, and then a secondary meaning to propitiate or gratify. We have the causative radhayati, covering both meanings, to accomplish something and also to satisfy, gratify somebody. And the apa, meaning off or away, sometimes just means something like going away, departing, but it sometimes here has the meaning of misdoing, failing to do, getting it wrong, not succeeding, or doing something that has the opposite effect. So an aparadha is something that has the effect of displeasing somebody, like a wrong done to somebody, something that annoys or creates anger or displeases. So, whatever wrongs you have done, and various forms of papa, various forms of evil. Look at this word vividha, from the root dha, to put. I've done a note on this. Yeah, vidha is to arrange in a certain way. Exactly the same construction as the Latin dispose, how are things disposed, how are they arranged, disposed. Vidha is the same construction of that word. And vidha, therefore, is a form or a kind or a measure. Now put a V in front of it again, so now I've got a double V. So vidha is a disposition or a form or a measure, the shape that something has, its kind. Vividha thus means now of different kinds, of various kinds. So the word vividha is the dha with a V in front of it, each of the V having a slightly different meaning, but it's the same verbal prefix V. Just means various, different kinds of. So whatever offences and evils of various kinds there are, note that the verb there are is omitted. Sarvan tat, all of that. So the tat here, it's the neuter. Of course, tat can mean, as an overall neuter, all of that. It means everything that's just been referred to. It could have said sarvanitani, but sarvantat, all of that, kind of a global, all of that. Pratyaya balat. Again, there's no verb here, but the verb is implied, all of that, from the power of conditioning. Meaning all of that arises from, happens because of. So this ablative here, balat, from the power, from the force, implies the verb. It happens because of that. So all of that happens because of a supporting condition. Swatantru, sorry, I keep muffing this up. Swatantrantu, swatantram navidyate. There is the independent does not exist, literally. This is our well-known root vid, to see or to know. This is the passive form of it, vidyate, literally, it is not seen or it is not known. Let me call up the iPad here. Here we are. Get it properly. There we are. So, oops. Root vid, to see or to know. Now, this is a regular passive. Remember, you form the passive, and remember well that the passive is formed irrespective of what class verb it is. So all classes of verb, for classes 1 through to 10, they all form their passives in the same way. So the formation of the passive is outside the regime of what class of verb it is. So you form the passive. The characteristic mark is the ya. So the present stem is vidya, and you get the Atmanepada ending, vidyate. So this is an entirely regular passive formation, vidyate. So that literally means it is not known or it is not seen. And that's the standard way of just saying that something doesn't exist. Like in French, il n'y a pas, in Spanish, no hay. It does not exist. So, and here, swatantram, um, I have now, this is the first time now I'm mentioning this in one of my videos. I've now started what I've called my explanatory glossary. That is because of the large amount of duplication and additional work and additional overloading of these texts. Largely, it saves me work as well. So I've done this separate explanatory glossary, which I'll just call up now. I'll show you how to use it, but I've done full notes on my study resources guide that's about to go out, even today, I hope, as I do this. Sorry, I called up the wrong thing there. I've called it explanatory I've changed explanatory lexicon was a bit too grandiose. I've changed it to explanatory glossary. We'll deal with that. So in the text here I've given you, sorry, I'm mucking this up. You'll see here swatantra. So the word swatantra appears in the text, swatantram. So rather than doing a full note of it here, I've referred you to, whenever you see a double colon space now, many of you will see that is the same form of head word looking up that the electronic, the online searchable version of the Pali Text Society gives. Wherever you see double colon with the word in question, instead of giving the full explanation here, all you need to do is copy and paste. Make sure you paste the double colon. So I'm doing it here, Control Copy. Then now I'm calling up the explanatory, well, glossary we should call it, and I'm doing a regular find. Open as you'd search any Word document, paste in the Control V, Swatantra, and up it comes. It takes you to Swatantra. We just spotted a typo there. Boom, boom, not to worry. And then it will take you to the entry which explains it. You know, the Tantra stretching device. Hang on, let me. Oh, sorry. I'm not doing this very well. Sorry about that. So it will take you to a place in the explanatory glossary. It'll show you the root. Various other things will be explained in due course, like who the great Julius Pokorny is. And then it will specifically show you what the Tantra is and what Swatantra, self-ruling, and why it means that, and why it means independent. So hopefully you will get used to that as we go along, and hopefully it's going to be a lot more useful than putting separate notes as I go along in the annotated text that I do, because when you go to this entry in the explanatory glossary, you'll see the root reference to Pokorny, cognates, and so on. This is just a very small entry. Others are considerably larger. So that's the explanation of swatantram, from self-ruling, from that root tan, meaning to stretch, which we get, in fact, in Latin, tendere, tension, even the word tent, because tent was originally a piece of waterproof cloth that was stretched out to make a cover. and by a separate route through the Germanic languages, it comes into modern English as thin. The idea something is stretched out, it becomes thinner and thinner the more you stretch it. And the tantra is therefore like a stretching tool, a tool that you can a device you can stretch things out on, and therefore the loom, where you're weaving, you stretch out, the woof, or forget the words. You stretch out all the uprights, and then you weave crosswise in between the uprights. So your tantra is like the loom, your stretching tool. And then by extension, it becomes like a model or a way, or then a rule, and a rule in the sense of a model, then rule in the sense of rulership, being the ruler of a place. So swatantra, self-rule, or as an adjective, self-ruling. Right, back to where we were. Here we are. So, this tu, it often means however. How have I translated it to? Yeah, it can mean however or whereas. The tu means however. The tu tends to express a kind of contrast. So, for example, it's saying, well, here it's saying that, all of these various offences and so on, they all arise pratyaya balat, through the force of conditioning factors. And swatantrantu, as for the independent, and if you might ask, well, is there anything that's really independent? So swatantram is here being stated in contrast to everything that's gone before, where the statement is made that there's no independence there. It all arises independence on other conditioning factors. So, well, as for the independent, well, navidyate, it doesn't exist. So I will read this through before we finish up. Ye kechid aparadhascha papani vividhani cha sarvantat pratyaya balat swatantrantu navidyate. And once more. Ye kechid aparadhascha papani vividhani cha sarvantat pratyaya balat swatantrantu navidyate. And that's it on this video.